Sir, are you sure? Emily's voice quivered as she glanced at the two crisp $100 bills lying on the counter, disbelief clouding her hazel eyes. But Nathan wasn't looking at the money anymore. His gaze was riveted on something small and metallic that had slipped from her apron pocket. A silver pendant, tarnished by time, shaped like a star. His heart hammered in his chest, his breath catching painfully. He reached for it, his fingers trembling. As he turned the pendant over, his world tilted on its axis. There, etched in the familiar looping script he had chosen himself 20 years ago, were the words, "To my little star. Love, Dad." No, it couldn't be. This was impossible. Where did you get this? Nathan's voice was little more than a broken whisper. His throat was tight, his pulse roaring in his ears. Emily frowned, confused. It's mine. I've had it for as long as I can remember. Found it in my stuff when I left foster care. She shrugged as if it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was everything. Nathan's knees nearly buckled. He steadied himself by gripping the edge of the counter. His mind reeled as memories long buried surged forward. His daughter's laughter, the way she twirled in her favorite yellow dress, Evelyn's soft kiss on his cheek as they buckled Sophie into her car seat. Then the phone call, the wreckage pulled from the Hudson, the empty caskets. He had buried his family 20 years ago. And yet, here she was, wearing his daughter's pendant. Nathan Reynolds, tech mogul, billionaire, and once a father, had thought his life's purpose was lost in that river. Now, standing in a dimly lit diner on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, he realized he had been wrong. Someone had lied. Someone had stolen his life from him. And Nathan Reynolds was going to uncover the truth. The Manhattan skyline gleamed like fractured glass, jagged and unforgiving as dusk settled over the city. From the 88th floor of the Reynolds Innovations Tower, Nathan stared out at the view he had once found inspiring. Now it felt like a cage. The life he had built, brick by brick, code by code, was hollow. His empire powered half the world's smartphones, but his personal world had stopped turning 2 decades ago. 20 years earlier, on a rain-slicked night, a car crash had taken his wife Evelyn and their 3-year-old daughter, Sophia. Their vehicle had plunged from the Williamsburg Bridge into the Hudson River. The police called it an accident. Nathan called it a curse. That evening, tired of boardroom negotiations and drowning in solitude, Nathan had shed his custom-tailored suit for an old leather jacket and vanished into the city's shadows. Aimless, he wandered downtown until a flickering neon sign caught his eye. Maggie's Diner, a relic from another era. The red neon buzzed faintly as he pushed through the door. The inside smelled of burnt coffee and fried onions, but there was a warmth to it, a small hum of life he hadn't felt in years. And that's where he saw her. Emily Parker was 23, with auburn hair tied back in a messy ponytail, loose strands framing a freckled face. She moved between tables with a tired efficiency, her apron stained by a long shift. Yet, there was a lightness to her smile when she poured him a cup of coffee. "Rough day?" she asked, setting the mug down in front of him. Her voice was soft, melodic. "Familiar." "Something like that," Nathan replied, his voice rougher than he expected. He watched her work, an echo of someone he'd lost. The tilt of her head, the way she hummed under her breath. It was like watching a ghost. When she brought his check, $12.50 for a burger and coffee, he left 2 crisp $100 bills under the saucer. "Keep the change," he said, standing to leave. But her voice stopped him. "Sir, are you sure?" That was when the pendant slipped from her pocket and clinked softly onto the counter. And that was when his world came undone. "Tell me everything," Nathan urged, his hands shaking as he set the pendant between them on the booth table. The diner was nearly empty now, the night creeping toward morning. Outside, headlights passed in slow procession, indifferent to the lives unraveling inside. Emily hesitated. Then she spoke. She had grown up in foster homes all over upstate New York, Syracuse, Albany, Rochester, shuffled from family to family. Some were decent. Most weren't. She was just another paycheck to them. She'd never known who her parents were. All she'd ever had was the star-shaped pendant she'd found in her belongings when she turned 18 and aged out of the system. I used to imagine it came from someone who loved me, she said quietly, her thumb tracing the edge of the charm. Someone who was looking for me. Nathan's throat closed painfully. Her eyes, hazel like Evelyn's, like Sophia's, searched his face for answers. I need proof, he said at last. He pulled out his phone. A DNA test. Will you do it? She looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. If it'll tell me who I am. 3 days later, Nathan tore open the envelope in his office, his hands trembling. The test confirmed it. Parentage match, 99.9999%. Emily Parker was Sophia Reynolds. Alive. He drove to Maggie's diner like a man possessed, his heart pounding in his chest. She was wiping down a table when he walked in. It's you, he said, his voice breaking. You're my Sophia. The rag slipped from her hands as she turned to him. What? He handed her the report. Watch her read it. Watched her world collapse as his was reborn. That night, they sat in his penthouse, staring out over the city. Sophia clutched the pendant in her fist. I don't understand, she whispered. How did I end up lost? Nathan's jaw tightened. Someone took you from me, and I'm going to find out who. He hired Adrian Shaw, a private investigator known for digging up truths no one wanted found. Gruff and relentless, Adrian started with the original accident report. Evelyn's car had gone off the bridge, but there were no skid marks, no signs of braking. A witness, a trucker named Eddie Malone, had reported seeing a dark sedan speeding away from the scene. Eddie died in a hit-and-run 2 months later. The case was closed as bad luck, but Adrian didn't believe in coincidences. They followed the money. $200,000 had been withdrawn from Evelyn's trust fund in the weeks after the crash by her father, Harrison Cole, a wealthy and controlling patriarch who had despised Nathan for his working-class roots. This stinks of a setup, Adrian muttered as he flicked ash from his cigarette. Your father-in-law's got blood on his hands. Nathan's suspicions deepened, but the first crack came from an unexpected place. His estranged sister, Marissa Reynolds, showed up on his doorstep in a cloud of guilt and cigarette smoke. I've been running from this for years, she admitted, wringing her hands. Harrison paid me to keep quiet. $150,000. He wanted Evelyn scared, wanted her to leave you. He hired someone to tamper with the car, but it went wrong. Nathan's hands clenched into fists. And you let me bury them. Tears welled in Marissa's eyes. He threatened me. My kids. I didn't know where Sophie was, only that she was alive. Sophia, Megan, Emily, whoever she thought she was, burned with a quiet fury. He stole everything from me. They drove to Harrison's estate in Westchester, a sprawling monument to old money and old power. He sat in his study, swirling scotch in a crystal glass, his silver hair gleaming. You've got nothing, Harrison sneered. A necklace and a fairy tale won't touch me. Sophia stepped forward, her hazel eyes blazing. I'm not a fairy tale. I'm your granddaughter, and I'll prove what you did. For the first time, Harrison's smirk faltered. Adrian's investigation gained momentum. He tracked down Carl Jenkins, a mechanic with a rap sheet longer than his arm. Carl had worked at a garage near the crash site. In a grimy backroom, pinned against a workbench by Adrian, Carl finally cracked. Harrison paid me $50,000 to mess with the brakes, he confessed, sweating. Said it was just to scare her. Didn't think she'd die. Didn't think the kid would survive. But Sophie had survived. Carl had pulled her from the wreckage himself and handed her to a man in a black coat. Who? Adrian pressed. Carl hesitated. Tall guy. Scar on his cheek. Didn't ask his name. The trail led them to Victor Hale, Evelyn's childhood friend and first love. An artist reclusive and brooding. Victor had disappeared after the crash. Adrian found him in a decaying loft in Brooklyn, surrounded by unfinished canvases. Evelyn was leaving you, Victor said when cornered. For me. Harrison found out. Lost it. He wanted her back. He staged the crash to scare her into coming home. But it killed her. Victor's voice cracked. I took Sophie. I couldn't let Harrison have her. Were you? You were broken. Nathan's world splintered again. Evelyn's love, the foundation of his life, had been a lie. You stole my daughter. Nathan lunged. Sophia grabbed his arm. He's not the endgame, she said quietly. Harrison is. And still, the pieces didn't fit. Adrian dug deeper. He uncovered another player, Lila Monroe, Evelyn's best friend, Harrison's confidant. Lila had orchestrated Sophie's disappearance, forging records, burying her in the foster system, for a cut of Evelyn's $10 million trust fund. Harrison inherited it all when Evelyn died without heirs. Adrian found Lila in Miami. Under pressure, she confessed. Harrison wanted control, not death. But when Evelyn died, I made sure Sophie vanished. Victor thought he was saving her. I was saving the money. With Carl's testimony, Victor's story, Lila's confession, and Marissa's guilt-ridden truth, they built an airtight case. Evelyn's hidden journal, discovered in a safe deposit box, sealed it. She had planned to run with Sophie that night. Harrison had struck first. The trial was a media circus. The Reynolds family tragedy became the Reynolds family conspiracy. Harrison was convicted of manslaughter, conspiracy, and fraud. Life without parole. Lila got 15 years. Victor walked free but broken. Justice was served, but the wounds remained. Nathan wrestled with Evelyn's betrayal. Sophia struggled to reconcile her fractured past. Together, they found purpose. They launched the Evelyn Cole Foundation, helping foster kids find families. Nathan traded his empire for quiet nights, watching the stars with his daughter. One evening, they stood on the Brooklyn Bridge. The Hudson glinted below them, no longer a graveyard, but a river of renewal. Sophia handed Nathan a small velvet box. Inside was a pendant, a star, engraved with, "To my guiding light." "Love, Sophia. You found me," she whispered, tears glistening. Nathan pulled her into his arms. "Even when you were a stranger," he murmured, holding her close. Above them, stars pierced the night, a constellation of loss, truth, and redemption, shining eternal.